You, me, and HIFMB, Stories of Science and the Sea.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the HIFMB podcast. In this episode, I talked to Amelie Luhede, an interdisciplinary PhD student between the realms of economics and environmental planning, or environmental management. And we talked about interdisciplinarity in general, about interdisciplinary struggles, about the benefits of switching perspectives between the different disciplines. And we talk about her PhD project. It's an economic concept of value of information where you seek to evaluate how much it's worth to collect more information and to find out more about your system and actually value that in, be it monetary terms or different value terms. We also talk about her life in Jordan for a bit and her double degree between Groningen in the Netherlands and Oldenburg in Germany, and how she's switched very early in her career between the different disciplines and became an interdisciplinary scholar very early on, and actually made her change her decision on wanting to do a PhD. So without further ado, I give you Amelie Luhede. Hello everybody, and welcome to the next episode of the HIFMB podcast. And today I bring to you Amelie Luhede, who is an interdisciplinary PhD student at HIFMB in
basically all the disciplines. So it's ranging from ecology to economics and also environmental management. So my background is quite varied, I would say.
Oh, for sure. So what group are you in right now?
So my group is a joint research group. It's called Value of Information, and the core group consists of only 3 people. So it's my supervisor, Thorsten Uppmann, and we're 2 PhD students.
Okay, who's the other PhD student?
Reza.
Reza, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my current project, it's basically the link of ecology and economics, but also from a management perspective. But in my studies, I also covered ecology and environmental planning and water management. Yeah. I guess we'll come to that a bit later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in your CV part. But so how did you end up in interdisciplinarity, or why? When did you get the interdisciplinary bug?
Oh, well, yeah. So I started not so interdisciplinary, actually. So I started in biology. But yeah, at one point I thought, well, this is it's very interesting, but I felt it is only one aspect. And I was more interested in also the conservation part. So I switched a bit more to the management. And now in my PhD project, actually also the economics part plays a big role.
So do you have a background in economics, or how did that happen?
Yeah, okay, that is actually a good question. No, I don't have any background in economics.
Okay.
That was after my master's. I was looking for a PhD, and this project just sounded so interesting. Yeah. I really don't have any background or any knowledge, or limited knowledge. Let's say limited knowledge in economics. Okay. But I was just interested by the project, and also the cooperation with the HIFMB sounded so interesting.
And what interested you about it? Like what caught you?
It was just the project in general. I thought the approach is really cool. And I'm very interested in the questions of nature conservation, and also, it has to do a lot to do with monitoring, and it's called Value of Information, the project.
Yeah, I think that the perspectives, like looking at conservation issue from the what did you say, the practitioner side, I think?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's super interesting. I mean, that would have caught me too.
Yeah, it is really cool because you're so in my case I started with biology, so I have let's say the scientific or biological lens maybe. And then I switched to environmental planning and management, so you also have this perspective.
Yeah, why did you make that switch?
It was mostly I do love the topic of biology and especially ecology, which was my main focus in my bachelor's. Okay. But I thought it's too narrow for me, and I did not really enjoy lab work that much.
Yeah, no, me neither. This is a recurring theme on the podcast. I think it's always about how I don't like lab work.
No, it's interesting, and it's fun for a while. But I guess if you really have to do it all the time. You have to really enjoy it from the beginning.
Yeah,
It has to
exactly.
be your thing.
Yeah.
It was not mine, and also the lab work itself just took so long sometimes, and
Yes.
then it doesn't work out, and you have to redo the whole experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and also one point was I really did not want to do a PhD.
Oh, you didn't?
No, not at all.
When is this, during your master's? Or?
That was during my bachelor's.
Okay.
So that's why I also thought, okay, I should switch, do something where I can go a bit more into the, in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
Where you don't, because when you do biology, usually the next step would be master's and PhD and work in the science.
And you didn't want to do a PhD because of your experiences in biology during your bachelor's? Or?
No, not really. I just didn't see myself working in a in the scientific setting.
Okay.
I also like the usual things. Oh, I'm not good enough for this, or others are much better, and your chances are limited. And yeah.
But then that changed during your master's when you looked at the management side?
It actually only changed during my master's thesis.
Okay.
So still during my master's, I was not quite convinced that that would be my thing to do a PhD. But it was actually my supervisors who really convinced me that I should do it and I can do it and I should apply for PhD positions.
Right.
So that was really cool.
What did you write your thesis on?
The topic was called, so I wrote on macroplastics or macroplastic pollution in the North Sea.
Okay.
So it was part of a wider research project that we're looking for the pathways and distribution of plastic in the North Sea. So my project was to identify hotspots for macroplastic in the English North Sea coast. So that was really cool because it had this quantitative part, but also a qualitative part.
Yeah.
And I was looking at not only the distribution of plastic, but also at the institutional context or the institutional setting. So the rules and regulations, but also how people perceive the whole topic.
Yeah.
That was really interesting.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Like a more holistic view of the whole system.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like a mixed method approach. So you have the quantitative, the data, but also you have the qualitative part.
Very
that was
cool.
cool, yeah.
And that then convinced you to, okay, I'm going to look for some PhDs out there.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Cool.
actually, I did not really look into a lot. I only found this one position and I applied and I got it. And yeah.
or maybe it's skill. Maybe it's your
yeah.
interdisciplinary skill. I mean, up to that point, at like the master's level, I was nowhere near. I'm supposed to be an interdisciplinary postdoc now, but at that point, I was nowhere near interdisciplinarity. And like the holistic view also just occurred to me during my master's at the end of it, where I thought, okay, maybe I shouldn't specialize so much and then like branch out more.
Yeah, I guess that is also part. But that was also during my master's because I did called a double degree. So I did basically 2 degrees. I did one master's in water and coastal management at Oldenburg University, and then the second year, which is then also a second master at the University of Groningen.
Yeah.
I didn't pronounce that right.
How do you pronounce it?
Groningen.
Yeah.
I cannot do it like that. Sorry if any Dutch-speaking listeners are
Sorry,
there.
Dutchies.
Water and coastal management in Oldenburg and environmental and infrastructure planning in Groningen. And there you also have already different perspectives. So here in Oldenburg, it was mostly marine spatial planning and also conservation topics. That was really interesting. And in Groningen, it was more from the governance side, actually. That was pretty new for me. I really had to get used to that, all qualitative research. So we had to write a lot of policy advice and really a different approach.
Yeah, do you have experience with writing like policy briefs and things like that?
I don't know. We had to do it. I'm not sure how good they were at the end.
Ah, sweet, okay.
Yeah. So that was really interesting because they were also, they had cooperations with the ministry there, the Rijkswaterstaat, that is the Ministry for water management, I would call it.
Who Josie, who we had on the first episode, is working with, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they cooperated a lot with the Faculty of the Spatial Sciences, it's called, in Groningen.
Okay.
And so we, for example, had to write, they were interested in some issues, so we wrote policy reports for them, or, yeah, that was actually very interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, so the whole interdisciplinary view came all together.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And then, okay, yeah, and that's what opened the door for you to pursue this project now.
Yeah, which is actually a different branch again.
Again. Okay.
Yeah, so now it focused a lot on the economic part as well.
Okay, yeah, now you're putting an economic lens on top of
exactly.
all the lenses that you already have.
Yeah, that is also very challenging. Well, challenging and very interesting.
Yeah, what's the project called again?
The project, we haven't really talked about it yet.
No, I think you mentioned it before.
Yeah, so my PhD project is called Value of Information.
Mm-hmm.
So value of information is actually an economic tool.
Okay.
It derives from the decision analytics branch.
Mm-hmm.
It is a tool to help decision makers to evaluate resolving uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
So that is it is a bit complicated to explain.
All right.
So from a decision maker's perspective, you have the option to make a decision now, or to postpone your decision and resolve uncertainty first.
Okay.
So usually when you, for example, want to let's just have an example. I think that's easiest.
Absolutely.
Let's say we're a decision maker and we want to protect a species, but we are uncertain about the true species distribution, for example. So we have a budget and we can either protect area A or B.
Yeah.
So we could now decide with our current knowledge, and we think, with the, let's say 50-50 or 60-40% chance the species will be in area A, so we would probably protect that one.
Yeah.
What we could also do, we could invest in more information first. So have a survey and see if the species is actually there.
Yeah.
And then we might change our decision based on the information.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, so that's very, very basically the approach.
And then there's a whole lot of maths that goes into it.
Yes, exactly. But it's very interesting to have this economic perspective, because I feel like for me, it's sometimes a bit hard to put a value, a monetary value on something like an ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been my next question. Is that so? It only considers things that can be put into monetary values?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
It has to be something. It has to be quantifiable.
Okay.
So you could also have as a value, for example, a number of species that will be the outcome.
Yeah.
That will be your value. The number of species protected or the area protected does not necessarily have to be monetary value.
But then things like can cultural values and like qualitative things be considered?
It is, if you can quantify that somehow. Yes.
Okay.
That is the thing. It is. Which is also very good for a decision maker, because it really gives you a quantitative outcome.
Yeah.
So you have the numbers,
the hard numbers,
the hard numbers. Yes.
Okay, and so, but your project isn't on a specific case study or anything. So your PhD project is on value of information, and where do you apply it to?
Exactly. So the overall project is about value of information, and it's not only on case studies, but also we want to further explore the whole concept. But the main interest is to also apply it then to real world case studies.
Yeah, right.
For one of our projects, for example, we consider monitoring data, which is very interesting. So what is the value of monitoring in order to assess the ecological status of a system? So that is our first paper now that we will hopefully submit soon.
Yeah.
So we there consider a quite simple case study with two management options and two states of the system, and see how monitoring data would give us in this case is the decision maker,
right,
give the decision maker a better estimate of the environmental status.
do you write the whole paper in view of the decision maker or from?
It's basically for the decision maker.
It's for them, okay.
Yeah.
Right. On which system?
We are looking at water bodies in northern Germany, and we consider an indicator variable for the quality or the ecological status of the system.
Mm-hmm. What's the indicator variable?
We're looking here at nitrogen.
Okay.
So nitrogen is often used as an indicator for phytoplankton biomass, and that is an indicator itself then for the good status of the system, which is very simplified in this case, of course.
We are also working together on a similar project, and that's, I think, what the Water Framework Directive directs in a way, right? That they're only considering nitrogen at this point.
Well, that is a bit different, but also it's very similar, yes.
Yeah.
So usually, the ecosystem is very complex.
Yes.
And at one point you have to make decisions. And you have to base the decisions on something. So that's, I guess, why it's often very simplified, and they have to look at some indicators. Yeah. Because you cannot just consider all the variables in the system. Okay. Probably.
And then you're looking at the nitrogen concentration of a certain water body in northern Germany, and then
exactly.
Make what decision?
So we have a very simplified case. So we have the decision to manage the water body or not to manage, based on the data or the information that you get.
Based on the concentration of nitrogen.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So we look at and based on the information you get, then you would choose maybe another
what
decision.
Would the information be that you get?
In this case, would be the nitrogen concentration.
Okay, is it too high or is it too low?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So for value of information, the information is of course only valuable if it's somehow related to your decision context. So for this case study, nitrogen would be the information. If you get if you monitor something else, that will not possibly not affect your decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and then do you have decision tools that come out of this, or like what can managers do if it's too high?
Well, that depends on the manager. Then I mean, we don't develop management actions.
Okay. So management actions, that's the word.
Yes, exactly. So for value of information, that is also the thing. You really need to specify the whole decision context. So you need not only the objective, so what do you want to reach? What is your goal with this management? Yeah. You also need to have at least 2 management alternatives, which you can choose from. Okay. And you have to also specify the consequences or the outcome of the management actions. So what is the payoff? Yeah. And you have to somehow estimate the uncertainty. Yes. So you need a lot of components to specify.
Okay. And then, so do you estimate the value of information in this case in monetary values, or?
In our case, we did that, yes.
So what is the value of information?
That is very case study specific. You cannot just...
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay. So for us, it was actually much higher than the monitoring cost.
It was?
So, yes.
Excellent.
So that is excellent. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great outcome.
It is, of course. Sometimes it can, of course, be zero. So if you, for example, monitor something, but the new information would not change your decision, then the value of information is zero. Yeah. That is also a bit difficult, I feel, to for us scientists. Yeah. Because of course it's very interesting to learn a lot about a species. But if it would not change the decision, the management decision, then this new information is worthless. Okay. I just did the quotation marks. It's of course not worthless from a scientific perspective, but from decision makers' perspective. Yeah.
Okay. But you just mentioned us scientists. So you consider yourself a scientist still?
Yes.
After all your interdisciplinary endeavors.
I do.
Okay. Okay. And you with knowing like policy papers, knowing how to write policy briefs, also knowing the biology that goes on, and now going into the economics that goes on, that there must be you have a lot of experience already in your young scientific life of interdisciplinarity. How are you finding it so far?
I would say challenging, but super interesting.
What is challenging?
A lot of things.
Okay.
So, so first of all, you don't know, or you know bits of everything, but you're not. I would not say I'm an expert in anything.
Yeah. Okay.
So that is sometimes a bit challenging.
Like always, the I know a little about a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But also then. You want to sometimes label yourself, or people want to put you in a drawer, or you want to put yourself in a drawer.
Yeah.
Like, am I now a biologist? Am I a environmental planner? Am I an economist?
Yeah.
None of the above. So that is sometimes a bit tricky, I would say. I don't know if you have the same, because you also work interdisciplinary.
Yeah, I do, but I have the privilege, again air quotes, that I can still call myself like a marine biologist, and everybody kind of knows what I do. But then it's I very much enjoy the interdisciplinarity and the more holistic approach to things, and that you get like a feel for so many different fields. It's super interesting. I like it.
And also the different perspectives.
Yes, exactly. And what you mentioned in the beginning, like the perspective of a decision maker, is so rarely considered in like hard natural sciences. And now that you do that is I think opening up another door.
Yeah,
to think about.
It's really interesting, but also just working with all these the different experts from all the fields. That's actually so we work in, of course, in the HIFMB. There's already a lot of different experts, but then also with the cooperation with the University of Bielefeld, where we have now the Faculty of Economics. There's also a lot of different expertises, so that is really cool. But also,
so you're bringing the expertises together, kind of.
Yeah.
And but you got to also be able to communicate to all of them.
Exactly. Yeah. The communication part sometimes I feel is very tricky, because even though you think you talk about the same things, you just don't.
Yeah, it's just not the same words sometimes.
Yeah, it's like a different language actually sometimes. I think we had this discussion once. We talked about modeling, but it was just we all had a different perspective of what is a model.
Yeah, I thought runway model, but then
definitely.
Economists, they have a different view.
Yeah. So that is that is challenging, I would say, but also like all the input you get and all the different perspectives, that is just so interesting. What I feel in my very limited experience.
Oh yeah, it's quite extensive for where you're at in your career, I think.
Yeah, but I guess it makes research a bit slower, maybe, because you have to find the common language, and you have very different methods and how to approach a problem. Yeah. But it makes it, I repeat myself. It's so interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, and I think very valuable as well. Like. You're right though. I mean, it might be COVID, but ever since I've started like working in interdisciplinary fields, the research has been slower, but it could also be the pandemic. Yeah, I'm not sure, but the outcomes are very valuable to a lot of people. Yes, and that's the core value to me, I think.
Yeah, exactly, and I really do enjoy it.
Yeah,
I feel if you're only you can be the expert in one field. That is. I guess it's great for me, but for me,
but that's not you.
I love that you know a bit of everything, and then you can somehow or try to bridge, or be the bridge between.
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing that.
I'm trying.
Yeah,
not sure how successfully.
so after your PhD, you think you'll stay in interdisciplinary things, or you'll be more interdisciplinary? Get another lens.
Yeah, maybe that would be interesting.
Yeah.
No, I would love that. Yes.
Yeah.
I can. I mean, yeah. I think I would love to work interdisciplinary.
Yeah, sweet.
To continue that, yes.
Do you want to stay in academia though?
For now, yeah.
Okay.
I would love that.
Sweet.
Let's see where it takes me. First, I have to finish the PhD, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So, talking about your CV a little bit in like quantitative terms, and like to put a timeline on it. So you did your bachelor's in when?
When did I do my bachelor's? 2013 I started.
Okay.
Yeah, I started it in Bielefeld University.
Mm-hmm.
Are
you from Bielefeld?
No, I'm not.
No.
Originally, I'm from Bremen, which is quite close to Oldenburg, so in the northern part of Germany.
Yeah, that's where I live now.
Yes.
It's a good city.
It is a good city. So yeah, I did my bachelor's in biology, just basic biology.
Mm-hmm.
Until 2016 I finished, yes.
Mm-hmm. And then from Bielefeld to Groningen first, or to Oldenburg first?
Actually I did a gap year first.
Okay,
or actually it was 2 gap years.
Okay, all right.
So after my bachelor's I moved to Jordan.
Jordan?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was teaching German there because I knew that I wanted to do a master's, but I was not quite sure what I want to do next after my bachelor.
Okay.
So I wanted to change the field, as I told you a bit.
Yeah.
But I was not quite sure where I would go.
Okay, right.
And then I did a gap year.
Yeah.
That was quite cool.
Yeah.
Different experience teaching German.
Teaching to Jordanians?
Yes.
Did you say that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So German as a foreign language,
Yeah.
which is also a challenge. Actually.
Yeah. So do you speak Arabic then?
A little bit.
A little bit.
I can understand also a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was living there, I knew enough to get along. I knew how to order food. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. How was it? How's living in the food as well? How's living in Jordan?
It was very cool.
Yeah.
It was such a different experience. Yeah.
2 years you spent there?
1.5.
Okay.
It was very nice, but my language skills are unfortunately limited.
Yeah, are they? I think you speak French also, right? And
yeah.
English and German and a little bit of
Tiny
Arabic.
bit.
I mean, and then all the interdisciplinary languages.
Yeah, that's true. That should be its own language.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, put that in the language category of your CV. Cool. And then, so from Jordan, then masters in Oldenburg first?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was then 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I started in Oldenburg, and that was the Master Water and Coastal Management.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was also very interesting. So
Yeah.
a different perspective.
Did you live in Oldenburg then? Or?
No, I lived in Bremen. Then.
Okay, right.
It's not too far. You also lived in Bremen, so it's 40 kilometers, I think.
Yeah.
Or so.
Yeah.
Or maybe 50. I don't know. Yeah. And after, so the second year and the second degree, then at the same time, was in the Netherlands.
But at the same time, so it isn't parallel. It's one after the other.
So it is a bit because it's a bit difficult to explain, or maybe not. But in Germany, so we usually have 2-year masters.
Yeah.
So it depends on the credit points.
Yeah.
But in the Netherlands, you can have 1-year masters.
Okay.
So I had to do the 2 years for the master to get the master degree in Germany, and plus or including this 1 year in the Netherlands where I get a second master then for.
I see. Okay.
So the masters in the Netherlands was its own program, but for the masters in Germany, I had to do both years.
Okay.
That is a bit
It is
confusing, maybe.
It is a little, but is that an established program, or is that just you who did this?
No, that's here in Oldenburg. It's an established program, so
Cool.
It's a small program. It's very cool. So we were not a lot of people.
Yeah, how many?
So we started in Oldenburg with 15, and then we ended up with 7, I think.
All right.
But plus all the students then that only did the masters in Groningen.
Okay.
So that was, I actually have no idea. I think around 50, I would say.
Oh, right. Okay.
Just a number I throw in here.
But the dual program was only 15 in the beginning. Okay.
Exactly.
And then the other 8 left.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they changed the program. Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't for them. Too interdisciplinary.
Yeah, and also then the move to Groningen, that is quite different, the structure in the Netherlands.
Yeah? What's different?
It's very intense.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was...
How?
So here you have lectures for 3 months, then you have exams, and then you have a break, and then it starts over again.
Yeah.
And there was different. So you had a class, I think they all... Oh, I don't want to say something wrong. I think it was 8 or 10 weeks. You had lectures, then you had exams, then you had 1 week off, and then it starts again.
Oh.
And you don't have one lecture, you have more than one.
Do you not call them semesters then? Or is that like...
No, they call it, like, you have 4 periods. One
Oh.
1A, 1B, then 2A, 2B.
Oh, I see.
So, yeah. And it was very, very intense.
Yeah, it sounds it.
Yeah. But, and I think the challenge was first that I was not used to this structure, because I studied in Germany.
Yeah.
I did my bachelor in Germany. And second, it was then a totally different program. So the whole spatial planning, I never heard anything of that.
Okay.
So a lot of people also think of spatial sciences. It has something to do with space, like outer space. But no, spatial planning is, the
ground.
on the ground, on planet Earth.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And then after that, you got straight out of Groningen and then straight into the PhD here.
That was first when I was in Groningen, and then the pandemic started.
Oh yes, wonderful.
It was great.
Yes.
Was I think in the last weeks of the sem or of the last period, when I started my master's thesis. That was great timing.
Okay, right.
So then I actually moved back a bit earlier, back to Germany, because I was not sure what's going to happen because they closed the borders.
Exactly, I did the same.
Yeah, so just in case I went back.
Yeah.
And then I finished my thesis in home office.
Yes, yeah, exactly the same.
So I think my graduation was in September then, October 2020, and at the same time I applied for some jobs and actually some jobs in planning offices, but also this PhD position.
Would you have taken one in a planning office if you didn't get the PhD?
I had the option.
Okay.
So the jobs were also very interesting, but not as interesting as the PhD position.
Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah. So I applied for it. That's actually very funny because I didn't even see the advertisement for the position. A friend of mine sent it to me because we got it in our university mail. How you say that, mail distribution?
I don't even know, in the mailing list.
Mailing list,
yes.
Thank you. Yes, in the mailing list. And I didn't see it. And then at one point she sent it to me like, hey, it's close to where you live now. Why don't you apply there? I was like, oh, okay, that sounds really cool. But honestly, I didn't think I would get it because I don't have any modeling background, no economics background. Yeah.
But very interdisciplinary background.
Yeah, very interdisciplinary.
Obviously, that's what's needed.
Yeah, and I was very lucky, I guess, that my friend sent it to me, the advertisement, and then that also the interview went very well.
Cool.
So that was really cool, yeah.
The interview was online?
It was online, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a bit sad, but...
And then you started here in 2021.
Yeah. So we started, the project started January 2021.
Oh,
so now I'm in my second year.
Sweet.
Yes. It's very cool.
You still enjoying it?
I do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect. And then we're up to here.
Yeah.
So with that, we can come to a close, I think. Is there anything that you think hasn't been mentioned that you want to mention, or anything you want to highlight?
No, not really. I think we covered a lot.
Perfect.
I hope it was not too many ups and downs like in the timeline.
Oh, no. We put a structure to it in the end.
Okay.
It's all perfect. Then thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No
worries.
worries.
Great.
Anytime. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Want to dive deeper? Surf over to hifmb.de or follow us on Twitter at hifmb_OL.